Hello and welcome to the Topher Project. My name is Topher Field and I help busy people like you to make sense of the nonsense that surrounds us. There is no sugarcoating it. The most recent federal election result was a resounding win for the Labor Party. The pundits have been quick to jump in, and indeed I've seen some claiming that this is the end for the coalition. They would appear to be vindicated on the basis that the coalition has actually parted ways. The Liberal Party and the National Party have gone their separate ways. There is an awful lot of noise and fury, so I thought I would cut through all of that by going directly to one of the sources, and that is none other than Senator Matt Canavan. He joins me now on the Topher Project. Senator, thank you so much for coming on.
Great to be with you, Topher.
Now, you grabbed my attention with a post that you put up on social media. I think it's a great place to start. Before we get into the details and the noise and the fury of what's happening right now, can you give us a quick little history lesson? This isn't actually the first time that the Nationals and Liberal Party have parted ways.
No, it's not, Topher. Obviously, if you read our mainstream press, you'd think the world is all about to end tomorrow, whether it's COVID, climate, and now the coalition. It's a constant state of panic in our mainstream media. Look, we've actually only had 3 periods in opposition as a coalition, so to speak, as a Liberal and National Party since World War II, the Liberal Party being formed just after World War II. And prior to this period that we're in right now, as the 3 previous periods, 2 of those 3, we actually had periods away from each other, in a break, if you like, from the coalition. I think the situation we're in now is probably more similar to 1972, where we did also suffer a major defeat, at that time losing government to the then Whitlam government. And for the first 2 years of the Whitlam government, there was no coalition. There was no Liberal or National Party. They came back together when Malcolm, or just after Malcolm Fraser became leader of the Liberal Party, and fought the 1974 election together. Did okay, but then finally got rid of the government in the following year. So, look, this stuff does happen. I also think when you look around the world now, quite often after election defeats, there's popularly elected leaders, there's a ballot of members sometimes, and so you often don't get shadow ministries formed for some months. The UK took 4 months for an official shadow ministry to be formed. So, yeah, I don't quite understand the haste right now. We got thumped a few weeks ago, absolutely smashed. We don't go back to Parliament for 2 more months. Even then, we're pretty irrelevant. It doesn't really matter who's who in the shadow ministry right now. We've got to get our act together ahead of the next election, which is 3 years away.
Yeah. One of the criticisms that I've seen levelled at the Nationals Party whilst they've been in coalition with the Liberals is that they appear to have compromised a lot on some of their values and become a little bit of a follow-along for the Liberal Party. I'll throw my hat into the ring and say that I've been very critical of the Nationals at times, particularly around energy policy and net zero, but also in my case, I have a particular passion for the issue of the Murray-Darling Basin Plan and the treatment of irrigators, the people that grow our food, and I've felt very disappointed about the Nationals Party and the way that your party has actually represented on those things. But it does seem as though this might be an opportunity for the Nationals to reset its priorities. What's happening internally, and what form do you expect the Nationals Party will take coming out of this?
Look, it's a bit hard to predict right now, but I do want to say, Topher, your work on the Murray-Darling was the first time I came across you many moons ago. It was excellent work. It stood the test of time, too, I may add. And look, I've written about this, that I do feel that in the last term of Parliament in particular, the Nationals Party turned down the volume on its voice, if you like, a little. They were explicitly told that we had to do that to help the Liberal Party win seats in the city. So the idea was, look, if we're too voluble about our little issues, be it the Murray-Darling, be it on energy policy, that could make it more difficult for the Liberals in the city. And we need them to win too, to get rid of what was, and I still do believe, a terrible government. Now, we followed that strategy. And it didn't work, did it? It did not work.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt my interview with Senator Matt Canavan, but I do have to tell you that I love doing what I do, but I have bills to pay. And one of the ways that you can help me to do more and give interviews like this one to Matt Canavan and to others is to buy my books. I've got Good People Break Bad Laws, which is a best-selling book all about civil disobedience in the modern age, as well as Good Christians Break Bad Laws. Now, both of these are heavily informed by my time on the front lines of the COVID lockdowns in the city of Melbourne, Australia, the most locked down city in the world, where we saw some of of the most serious and widespread human rights abuses in modern Australian history. I actually made a documentary about that as well. It's called Battleground Melbourne. You can watch it for free online at battlegroundmelbourne.com. It's an incredible story about courageous Victorians who stood up for their human rights when their government tried to break them. If you'd like this on DVD, though, that's where you can support me by going to goodpeoplebreakbadlaws.com and buying a copy of the DVD as well as my books. You can also get my merch. There's a range of different products available in t-shirt or in hoodie in black or in white. And by doing that, you're going to help me to keep doing what I do. There's also the option for those of you that have already grabbed my books and grabbed some of my merch to just head to topherfield.net and buy me a coffee. And that helps me to be able to keep doing what I do. And so without further ado, let's get back to my interview with Senator Matt Canavan.
At all. And I actually believe when you look back at our best victories and best moments over the past decade or so, it's often been when the Nationals Party has been fully loud in voice that we've done very well. I think we give confidence then to the some elements of the Liberal Party as well that ignore the commentariat, ignore the press gallery and the ABC and the Guardian and fight for what our people believe in, whether that's on issues like Adani, fighting against Rudd's first carbon tax. There's a reason that the media constantly don't want us to fight the climate wars. And that's because when we fight the climate wars, we normally win them. And the media doesn't want us to win. And so maybe, just maybe, we should stop taking advice from people who do not want us to win. So I hope that we do rediscover our voice as part of the Nationals Party. You asked what form that would take. As I hinted at before, I'm perfectly fine if we end up on our own. It's not the end of the world. We'll have to fight our own little fight as a small team, but we can do that. If we do go into coalition, look, I just hope that we do keep the ability to fight these issues. Energy policy right up there. I'm no longer too connected to the Murray-Darling being up here in central Queensland, but that remains a big issue, sure. I know, for down south. Your job in Parliament, I find my first job is to represent the people here in central Queensland. That's, I love Australia. I'm a Queenslander, love Queensland. But my backyard comes first. And I've always approached politics like that. I think I've delivered results. And look, up here in central Queensland, we did okay at the election too.
You've been outspoken for quite some time, since before it was cool, may I say, on the issue of net zero. You've been calling that out when both the Liberal and Labor Party have differed in their deadlines, but have not really, in my opinion, differed much in the substance of what it was that they were promising to do at this moment in time, unless something has changed in a very brief period of time and I've missed it. It looks like the Liberal Party are staying the course with their attitude towards net zero. But you've been outspoken for some time about your desire to see at least the Nationals change course on that. The recent attempted leadership spill, obviously David Littleproud managed to hold on to his spot as the leader of the party. David Littleproud has a long history in politics. I won't go into that. He and I have a bit of history directly as well. But I wouldn't have thought he'd be someone with a big appetite to go out there and really defend your position, for example, as someone fully opposed to net zero. Do you see that happening, or is that going to necessitate a leadership spill, or is that a little too dangerous of a question?
Look, I want to take the question on because I want to see net zero go. It's destroying large parts of our country. We have already lost 3 industries in the first 3 years of net zero. 2.5 years now since we signed up to net zero. We lost our urea industry. It's the most important fertilizer produced for farming. We lost our plastics industry, also very important for farming, among other things. And we lost our nickel industry as well and the Indonesian government's building coal-fired power stations like they're going out of fashion. So look, I believe it's time. The evidence is in, if you like, that this strategy is not working for our country. Obviously, lots of other countries are walking away from it. You just saw New Zealand over the weekend do so, but many others as well. It's time for us to reflect on this. I think after a loss like this, maybe we should reflect on that. In terms of David, look, I'm sure he'll be guided by a party room. We've been promised a discussion about net zero early, so I'm firing up for that. I tried to bring that discussion forward, if you like, by running for leadership on a platform of ending net zero. And I didn't quite get the numbers there, but I know there's a great hunger for a proper debate on this, and I believe there's a hunger in the broader electorate for a choice on this. The Australian people have never had a proper choice on net zero. Both sides of politics, first under Scott Morrison as Prime Minister, then under Anthony Albanese as Prime Minister. Under both those terms, both sides of politics have signed up to this stuff, signed up to this global agreement without giving the Australian people a choice on whether that is what they want to do. And look, I suppose, felt, some of my colleagues, not myself, but some of my colleagues felt somewhat bullied and in the Nationals Party case, bribed to adopt this net zero stance. The explicit idea was that we had to do that to guarantee a competitive position at an election in a political context. Well, again, going back to my previous point, we've done it twice now. We've gone to 2 elections signing up to net zero emissions by 2050. We've lost one, and we've been absolutely smashed in another. The worst result since World War II for coalition parties. So, why don't we try something else? why don't we actually go in there and have a fight for our country, fight for the nation's industrial future, for those jobs and the wealth of all people. So, I'm up for that fight. I'll keep fighting whatever the result in our party room is. As you say, I was against net zero before it was cool. If it becomes cool to be against it, I'll be still against it too.
Yeah. Well, you just mentioned New Zealand. They're walking away from their net zero commitments made under their then Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern. We're watching the United States take a very pro-industry and pro-energy drill, baby drill type of approach. We're watching a shift in attitudes in some parts of the world. A lot of Australians are concerned about the reach of globalism far beyond just energy policy and net zero. We've seen, for example, the passive ratification agreement to the new infectious diseases controls that the World Health Organization is putting through. The name of it escapes me just at this moment. But we've seen that come through, and Australia is in agreement to that and looking to implement that in about a year's time when that comes into power. Can we anticipate, or I guess in my case, could we hope for the Nationals Party to begin to push back against more than just the energy overreach?
Look, I can't speak for my colleagues. I can say I've been opposed to Australia signing up to this latest change to the pandemic treaty arrangements.
That's the one. Yeah.
I mean, none of these things bind an Australian government to do anything. And although some Australian governments use them as an excuse to do what they want to do anyway. So what I will be doing, regardless of any signature from Australia, is using my position as a senator to hold Australian governments to account and to keep a tight watch over what is exactly going on with them. Now, in terms of the National Party, I can't comment for them, although I would say we typically do our best as the Nationals Party when we focus on local issues and stay connected to our local people. And the big reason why, at a principle level, philosophical level, I believe the Nationals Party should be against these global agreements is because they take the power out of the hands of local people, local governments, governments that are closest to the people, and put them into these international bodies that are remote from a nation's best interests. We don't talk in these sort of terms, but really, if you want to sum up one of the Nationals Party's governing principles, it is subsidiarity. We do believe that government should be closest to the people. We traditionally have supported new states being created in Australia to do that, to drive government decisions closer down to the local impact. And I just say, when you see the biggest mistakes made in public policy in recent times, it's invariably been because decisions have been made far removed from the impact of those decisions. The people making those decisions don't face the consequences of the mistakes of their decisions, and they make enormous errors. None more so than the issue you've been passionate about the Murray-Darling. We've had a whole lot of people designing water policy in this country who have no idea how to grow a crop of wheat. And it's that sort of approach that we should fight against, this global international takeover of our sovereignty, be it from the local level or the national level. We should fight against that and return power to the Australian people.
Well, I'm very grateful for your time. I do have one more question for you, though. There are a lot of Australians that have seen the results of this most recent election. Let's not forget that Labor might have won a thumping victory, but they generally got less than 40% of the primary vote pretty much across Australia, with some exceptions, of course. But overall, they are not. You can't really say that they are in the majority. They were just the largest of the minorities and the one to whom the preferences flowed. There are an awful lot of Australians looking for a real alternative and looking for a way that they can get involved. I've been an advocate for getting involved with what would be termed the minor right, or I call them the freedom-friendly minor parties. But there's a lot of people saying that hasn't really worked out either, and it's hard for me to disagree. There's a lot of people looking for a new home. What would you say to them? How would you make the case for those people to perhaps get involved in the Nationals Party or perhaps in a future reformed coalition?
Look, Topher, I understand why people get involved in the minor right parties, so to speak, and I know there's a lot of good people doing that, including yourself. I would
Mm,
say you just leverage your power, though, being a member of one of the major parties, and that's because you get to decide who are the candidates. That's the primary purpose of it. You don't have to agree with everything the party does if you're a member.
mm,
You don't have to go to all of the conferences even. But if you can just use your power as an individual member to select candidates, it makes a big difference. Now, definitely the Nationals Party. I can't think of the last time, if at any, I remember the local members not having the say on who the candidate is. It
mm,
has happened in some of the Liberal Party branches where the local executive has overridden the
mm,
local members. Sorry, the state executive, I should say, have overridden the local members. But I can't remember that happening in the Nationals Party anytime recently. And that means you get a lot of power. Like we just had a pre-selection in Cairns a few months ago, and just 80 people turned up at that pre-selection.
wow.
80. So if you're a member of the local LNP branch in Cairns or the seat of Leichhardt,
Mm,
your vote is one of 80 to select the candidate who might become the member of parliament. Obviously,
mm,
when you go to a general election in that seat, you'll be one of 120,000.
yeah.
And I don't know, mate, for $65 a year, that's a pretty good return on your money. So that's what I say. You don't have to agree with everything. Say, look, a little bit of a secret. It's a secret ballot. You don't even have to vote for the major party.
Yeah.
They can't kick you out because you vote a different way. You don't have to tell them. It's illegal. But you can effectively get 2 votes if you're a member of the Liberal and National Party, because you get the vote on the pre-selection and you still get your vote in the general election as well.
Mm. Well, Senator, thank you so much for your time. I look forward to seeing how this saga unfolds. As I say, politics is show business for ugly people. I'll make an exception for present company, of course. But certainly it does feel a little bit like an episode of Days of Our Lives. We'll have to see how it unfolds. But thank you so much for giving us your thoughts here on the Topher Project.
Thanks, Topher. Keep up the good work.